and welcome to the final regular season edition of Rocky Top Review. And I just looked up on Mixed TV and saw this shot, which we have
That's the ugliest shot I've ever seen.
We've had traumatic video recording issue here.
Got an issue here.
I feel really awkward.
Now sitting over here, it's just weird, but hey, it works. But it is the final regular season edition of Rocky Top Review, presented by CHI Memorial. Memorial Convenient Care opens 7 days a week in the Publix shopping center right here in Cleveland. Well, this afternoon, Tennessee and Vanderbilt will return to their regular schedule, play on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Although Tennessee's dominated the series with 77 wins and only 33 losses, these two Tennessee schools have split their past 10 meetings, making the last decade the most competitive period of the series since the 1920s. The Vols have won the past two meetings after first-year coaches and Josh Heupel and Chris Lee look to put their stamp on the series today at Neyland Stadium. And with that, we welcome you to the final regular season edition of Rocky Top Review. And Shelton, who is on my side of the counter here, but
behind the big board.
We're down a camera. So anyway, Shelton, what do you make of this today?
It's big. These teams have split, like you said, the last 10 meetings, which is just unthinkable as a Tennessee fan if you really go back. And there's been some awful games here in the last 10 years with Vanderbilt. I really think, though, Tennessee is riding a pretty big high. We talked about last week that they needed to score 50. They scored 60. The difference between teams that are on the up and the teams that are really not finding any traction is you have to score. If you're a Georgia, you're Alabama, and you're one of the upper echelon teams, you score 50 to 60 against teams like South Alabama. That's what you do. And so at the end of the day, I think that Tennessee is proving that this offense is not a fluke. This is something that he's gotten better at every week. I mean, Hendon Hooker is now, he looks like, I'm not sure who to compare him to at this point, but he looks fantastic. This team looks to be gelling. The culture has changed much quicker than a lot of people thought. Thanksgiving Day a couple days ago, and Coach Heupel had the players that had nowhere to go were either at his house or assistant coach's house for Thanksgiving to make sure they had somewhere to go, somewhere to hang out with family and friends. So that's the type of things that you're going to see that they're being done other places that end up being successful over time. It's just the culture change, and I think we're seeing it right now in Knoxville.
Jason Cox, what do you make of it?
What's up, Steve? I think, we said this early on in the season. We need to be playing better at the end of the season than what we are at the beginning of the season. And clearly Tennessee's doing that. It's going to be an exciting offseason. The hype train is going to go crazy. If Hendon Hooker comes back, there's already talk about a Heisman, campaign for him. Wow. It'll be similar to what Ole Miss experienced this past offseason with Matt Corral coming back, with Lane Kiffin and going in his second year. Knoxville, I lived there for a couple of years when I was in college, and it's always been about hype. Hype this, hype that. It's going to be a frenzy this offseason, unless the unthinkable happens today. It certainly, if Vanderbilt snuck up and bit us, it would leave a sour taste in Tennessee fans' mouths. But, man, I never thought we'd get to 7 wins in a regular season this year. I thought it would be 5 wins, maybe 6 if something went our way. But, the train is just rolling down the tracks now, and it sure does feel good, Josh Rogers.
It's not the lane train anymore, but not the hype train. It's the Heupel train. And this year for Tennessee has been unbelievable.
You ought to be put to sleep after that line. That was horrific.
Was it the Heupel train?
The hype train. It's the hype. Really?
The Heupel train.
He's the rookie in this show. And he's not been properly hazed, Shelton.
Oh, I've got some.
And he's a Georgia fan.
I've tried to haze him last week. By the way, speaking of Georgia.
Oh no, I've got something to say.
We don't care. So the guy from Georgia is going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. He lays down at Tennessee like he's been shot about 12 times, but all of a sudden he scores a touchdown last week.
That's right.
Give him the ball.
Right. Give him the ball.
Big man touchdown.
They must have hydrated him up.
Go make your point. Whatever.
Look, Vandy's 2-9 this year, right? I mean, this year, the 2 wins that they've had is to Colorado State and Connecticut. If Tennessee doesn't win this game today by 50 points, I mean, it's going to be an embarrassment for Tennessee.
No, Tennessee loses. If Tennessee loses today, it'll erase everything that's been done this season.
Vandy literally lost to East Tennessee State. I mean, East Tennessee State. I mean, we're at the point now, like when it comes to Vandy, right? We need to be talking. Why are they still in the SEC? I mean, women's soccer, baseball. I mean, with Oklahoma and Texas baseball coming over to the SEC here in a couple years. I mean, Vandy. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it's time for them to go. I mean, it's time for them to leave the SEC and let us pick up another team like a Virginia Tech or someone else. Send Vandy over to the ACC with all the smart schools and let it go. You know, Duke and North Carolina and all those schools. But look, for Tennessee today, I mean, the big thing for them is how well do they come out and play? I mean, you're talking about Tennessee Vandy. I mean, this is for the state. I mean, this game isn't for the SEC. You're already going to a bowl game. You might get a little bit better bowl if you win today. But this is for bragging rights. This is for states' rights, right? I mean, you're playing against Vandy. You're going over. And Vandy's coming over to Knoxville this week, and they're going to try to win. I mean, this is the only chance that Vandy has for anything is to beat Tennessee, right? I mean, they're going to be 3-9 still, but for Vandy, you beat Tennessee, you run the state for this year. I mean, that's big for them.
Yeah.
Is he still talking?
I don't know. He's on. We're on Rocky Top Review. So, Shelton, I mean, you know, as we look ahead to today with Vanderbilt, I mean, the stakes are very, very high.
Well, I think Josh. I mean, I hate to say this, Josh was right in most of what he said, and
except for that lead line, that was so lame.
Awful.
That was awful.
Terrible. I think that when you look at this, you know, going to a bowl game. You know, Music City Bowl would be great, but hey, if you win this game, you got 7 wins. You know, now we're thinking maybe if you could slide into a Florida Bowl somewhere. I mean, but Charlotte's another great location to. You know, I just think the Tennessee fan base will travel like they've not traveled in years. And Jason, we remember back, you know, in years past, it didn't matter where they were going. Tennessee was going to travel, and that's why Tennessee got better bowls traditionally, even when their record wasn't as good as some, because it was all about ticket sales and filling the seats. And I think you're going to see that again this year. The excitement is back. You can tell just walking through the parking lots and walking through just around the stadium, the buzz is back. But that buzz can be quickly stopped with a loss today.
Josh, when you say the buzz is back,
yeah, so it's
a whole other story.
Yeah, it's a different buzz. So, but well, I brought it up, but no, I really think this is a game they've got to have. This is a game that Coach Heupel wants to put just kind of the nail in the coffin of this team is heading in the right direction.
Jason, what about it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's over by the end of the first quarter. I think this Tennessee offense, while they may not have the athletes on the offensive side of the ball yet that we want to get, just the system itself, if you'll watch it, when Tennessee gets their first down in a drive, the next play or two, they're throwing the ball deep. And it's because those defensive backs, their hands are on their hips, the defensive linemen, they're not coming as hard next because they've just done 3 or 4 plays in less than a minute. And so they're tired, and Tennessee will take their shots. And I just think that I think by the end of the first quarter, much like South Carolina Missouri game, I think this one's in the books by then.
Josh, what about you?
I don't disagree with you. I think this one will be in the books for Tennessee. I think that will take longer. I think Vandy really does try to come out and play against Tennessee today. And I think for Tennessee, it's a very good opportunity. Vandy's really young right now, and for Tennessee, it's a very good opportunity for them to really kind of showcase this talent, let some younger guys come in and play like we talked about last week, but continuing to grow. And Heupel, you know, these seniors, I mean, you know, they're playing for a bowl game and bowl win, and in the era that we are in college football now, you know, the Music City Bowl is just not that great. You know, I mean, the bowls in Florida, they're just not. I mean, if you're not fighting for a national championship, I mean, most of these seniors who are going to be going off to whether it's the NFL or just going to get a job after graduation, you know, you want to win for them, you want to play for them, but for Tennessee, this is an awesome opportunity to get. While Vandy is still considered in the SEC, you know, some good playing time for some young players.
All right, we're going to take a break right here. It's the final regular season edition of Rocky Top Review, presented by CHI Memorial, Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3, and The Buzz. And we're on MixTV.tv. We know we will have another edition before a bowl game. We'll see what happens there. And we, of course, are presented by CHI Memorial. And we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone. It's our final regular season edition of Rocky Top Review, presented by CHI Memorial. Shelton, let's get an update. It's your coach's hot seat. The seat got pretty hot last Sunday for Dan Mullen at Florida.
I just want to say that I'm become the kryptonite for most coaches in the college football. As soon as I say their name, they're getting fired. So
who are you going to say this week?
Kirby Smart. Mullen's gone. But listen, you start thinking about Dan Mullen's going to get one of these big jobs. I can see Dan Mullen going to Virginia Tech easily because look at the coaching pool. Well, we've got James Franklin getting 10 years, $265 trillion to say Penn State because there's no – I mean, if you look at the coaches available, there's no names that are just like sticking out there of some young up-and-coming coach because even Chadwell at Coastal Carolina – great, they can score, but they play against somebody that's a little bit better, and especially defensively, they don't have an answer.
Well, Hugh Freeze getting signed to Liberty. I mean, that takes away one of those big coaches. And you think Billy Napier? I mean, that's been a name for a long time. At Louisiana, is it Louisiana Tech that he's at? You talk about him, and then a name that has been floating forever is P.J. Fleck up at Minnesota. But I mean, he is so bought into that program. You don't think of him really going anywhere.
But there's no pressure at P.J. Fleck to win a national championship in Minnesota. They want to be competitive. And there's a big difference. Gary Patterson leaving TCU, I can see him getting one of these jobs.
Yeah.
We're really just recycling these coaches that weren't successful at this level. They're going to move them around. But you've got Virginia Tech, you've got USC, now we have LSU, we've got Florida. I mean, these are just.
Let me ask this question when you finish.
Sure. No. I'm just saying. Today Michigan's going to lose again to Ohio State.
Wow,
Jim Harbaugh is going to be a guy that's going to have lost more games against Ohio State than any active Michigan coach. Yet they're not going to fire him because there's no one else to replace him with. He's a guy that's going to get you in the top 10, and now all of a sudden we've become okay with that.
Well, hang on. What about, and Josh will get you in a second, but what about NFL coaches who would go to college?
I just don't see that.
I think now with the NIL stuff and the transfer portal, I just think NFL coaches don't want to put in the hours it takes to try to get these guys and keep these guys because even if you get them there, they're just one knock on the door of saying, hey, I'm going somewhere.
I think Matt Rule's probably the only one that would be open to that.
Yeah.
Where he came from Baylor, he's at Carolina now. Yeah, I don't expect that either because of the grind of college. But he's probably the one guy.
So
to keep an eye
a
on.
Tennessee name, right? And I don't want to bring him up, but we've seen the memes this week about Florida. But does Butch Jones land one of these big jobs?
No chance. He's terrible out where he's at. I mean, he's terrible.
Yeah, they've only won 2 or 3 games. Arkansas State.
But does he get bumped up to somewhere saying, "Hey, we don't have players"? Does he get bumped up to Virginia Tech or somewhere like that?
I just don't see it ever happening. I really don't.
All right, so but any predictions for some of these open jobs?
I think Gary Patterson lands a job. I think Dan Mullen's not unemployed very long.
Like Matt Campbell at Iowa State.
I see, but
why?
Where? I mean,
he hasn't done
what's the
anything.
name you hear?
He gets a couple
but
million.
He just hasn't done anything.
You get a couple million more to go somewhere. But if Matt Campbell would have won the Big Ten, okay, I get that. But why are you getting a guy that has been competitive but not in championship quality to come down and think all of a sudden he's going to bring you a championship to Gainesville?
Well, but a lot of people say that Iowa State job is the worst job in the country in Power 5.
Yeah.
And so for what he's done has been pretty amazing. It's like Dan Mullen at Mississippi State. I mean, the guy can coach. Now, can he coach at a school that could get to the national championship? I don't know.
Does Lincoln Riley go to LSU?
I think Lincoln Riley could cash in. I think at some point your stock is here, and if you don't cash in on the stock while you're here, then all of a sudden there's only one way to go. But think about Urban Meyer. Now, nobody likes Urban Meyer, none of his own family. But I mean, except for the lady at the bar. But when he was at Bowling Green, He turned that program completely around. He goes to Utah, turns that program completely around. There is not a college coach right now that we look at the greater landscape of one of these second-tier programs that you can say, gosh, he has turned that program completely around, except for Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
But then they took care of that. Hugh Freeze is like nestled in there and thought, hey, I make a couple million a year. Nobody really bothers me.
Get my life back in order.
Exactly.
You know? But I think you got two coaches today that are playing in this game in Knoxville, that could be on the move, possibly, depending on what happens with Lincoln Riley.
If Lincoln Riley leaves Oklahoma for LSU, then this is the biggest nightmare for Tennessee football, because I don't think Oklahoma turns to anybody else but Coach Heupel and says, come on.
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We're going to pick some games coming up, of course. You're listening to this on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, as Tennessee will host Vanderbilt coming up in Knoxville, and that's the final regular season game of the year. Thanks so much, CHI Memorial. They are our sponsor of this show, and they probably don't know it, but God love them. It's Memorial Convenient Care Public Shopping Center, Paul Hub Parkway in Cleveland, and we'll come back with more in just a moment. Stand by. Welcome back. Our final segment of the final regular season week of college football. Tennessee Vanderbilt in Nashville. You're listening to Rocky Top Review, Mix 104.1, also Talk 101.3 The Buzz, and we are on Mix TV, mixtv.tv. Let's talk about some games here and what is happening later today. I'm going to go back to what Shelton has sent us here. And, I don't know if we look back because it's 2 days removed, but we had the Egg Bowl. Egg Bowl came back. Has it been a while since we've had the Egg Bowl? It seems like
it did come back. I don't know how long it's been.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yep.
And then, so let's go to today. We'll get to Vandy, Tennessee. That's a 3:45 kickoff, which is coming up here in a couple of hours or so on this station. Well, let's go. I tell you what, let's go a game in progress. And we're going to begin with Josh Rogers, Georgia Tech. Now, this is, as you said on our air on Wednesday on our morning show, it's still an interstate rivalry for you guys.
It is. Georgia Tech's 3-8 this year. I mean, they're not very good, but they still play a good offense. And that it being down in Atlanta, at Bobby Dodd, I mean, that's still a big game for Georgia. It's an in-state rivalry, and for Georgia this year, it's just about trying to finish off the year healthy and be able to come down to Atlanta this week and then come back to Atlanta next week.
So the question's this, though. Yeah. Georgia play their starters?
For the first half.
Okay.
Yeah, first
Where
half.
do you, before we continue, that's a great, you actually brought up a thought in my mind about this. Okay, so what star players will set out bowl games, in your opinion? Is it going to be outside of the college football playoff where players decide not to play?
Yeah, you'll have a majority of some of those seniors that are top first round, second round players that are kind of in that 15 to probably 8 to 15, 20 kind of spot to be able to protect themselves. I mean, it's huge. I mean, you go out there and tear an ACL or break some arms or whatever it might be, an Achilles, that can, I mean, you're talking about millions and millions of dollars that's going to be lost. I mean, all these guys have insurance policies on them, so they're going to get paid regardless. But the big thing is you don't want to lose that first contract, especially with all the new rules in the NFL.
Jason, does it minimize the bowl games?
I don't think so. I mean, they're just kind of showcase games anyways, and most people kind of have a grasp of that. They're just fun, and you get to play an opponent you don't normally see. So, for a team that's not in the playoffs, I mean, if my star player wanted to sit out and I was a player, I'd probably feel a little bit abandoned by that. But, at the end of the day, it's kind of a showcase for the next year anyhow. So let the young guys play. You're talking defensive linemen, defensive ends, maybe some linebackers. Guys like that are the ones you see consistently sit out. And it's not the guys in the playoffs. It's the guys that on the teams that won 6 games, 7 games, 8 games. Those are the ones sitting out, and I don't think anybody really cares.
Georgia Tech, Jason.
Georgia.
All right. Sheldon?
Oh, yeah, Georgia big.
Okay. So Shelton, Florida State, Florida play a very interesting game. This game is in progress as we're on the air here. Both teams are 5-6, so both teams playing for a bowl berth.
You know what, Steve? Just I don't know. This game to me, a couple weeks ago, my elbow was really sore. It's really sore. I couldn't really figure out why, but it's back. It's feeling better.
Probably because you're punching them walls at rehab.
Nope. It's back, and it's feeling a little better. And I can't tell you. I just would like to say that I brought it to Chop back out for this week because I will be the biggest Florida State fan in the world. Deion Sanders ain't got nothing on me. Let me just say that right now. Because this week we're all Florida State Seminole fans. And may the spirit of Bobby Bowden just circle the entire stadium as Florida goes down and sits at home while we don't have to watch them this bowl season.
Wow. And by the way, ESPN will hate that. Jason Cox, what about it?
Well, it's like a bowl. You ask yourself who wants to be there and who doesn't. And after Florida fired Dan Mullen, I just don't think they'll want to be there. Yeah. And so I'm going to take Florida State, and I don't know that it's close. I think Florida State might win this one in a rout.
The game is at Gainesville. Josh Rogers.
I don't pick Florida. Florida State. Go Noles.
Right. It's the Iron Bowl. Oh my! That's a 3:30 start, so that's not started as of yet. Alabama is on the plains. Josh Rogers this week in that renewal of a big rivalry.
I don't say this very often, but War Eagle.
Oh wow! So who are you picking?
Auburn.
You're going to pick Auburn.
Auburn, big time.
Big win. Come on.
Hey,
stop.
Listen, Alabama hasn't played well the past couple of weeks.
Oh, come on.
Stop.
They haven't. Last week they won by 7.
This is your
The
worst
week before they won by like 12.
You've actually gone downhill.
And Tennessee played them a few weeks ago to 7 points in the fourth quarter.
Unbelievable.
Okay,
This game is down on this game is down on the plains, and this is an opportunity for a big
I don't care if they're
Auburn,
playing
big
at
time.
the house. It doesn't matter.
Ever since you got the NIL from Mayfield, you have really went down.
You
We don't
really
know
have.
you
That
anymore.
was the high point, and then
it has been. It has been.
Hey, it's a long year, man.
Shelton, the Iron Bowl.
Alabama will win this game. Alabama will win the SEC championship. Alabama will go on to compete for a national championship.
Let's just not bury the lead here. We've got another show after this. This ain't it. All right. What about it, Cox?
Josh Rogers is offering up money if Georgia wins the SEC. So Steven's already over there talking about Bama winning the SEC. Yeah.
Man.
And so, Bama's got way too much to play for here. Auburn, their second string quarterback is their starting quarterback now. I don't see it. Alabama wins big.
Well, I see it.
Yeah.
Go Auburn.
Come on.
You see what you want to see.
Or Eagle.
Oh, good Lord. Tonight, 7 o'clock kickoff. Texas A&M and the Jimbo Fisher Show is going to visit LSU. And, oh, by the way, he's going to have a visit with his old AD there in Baton Rouge and maybe go by Jimmy Swaggart's and get an impartation. But anyway, A&M and LSU, Shelton, is the night game on ESPN.
Listen, here's the deal. LSU's playing for a bowl berth. This is shocking. Jason and I were talking before the show. This is shocking to me. But I do think Jimbo Fisher could be this could be a resume builder for him. He's always dreamed to have that LSU job, and I don't know. I know it would break the bank, but I think LSU's willing to give it to him if they can't get Lincoln Riley.
Josh Rogers is Cleveland's Donnie Swaggart. Over to you, Josh. What do you think?
I like Texas A&M in this game. I mean, it's hard. I mean, a 7 o'clock game down in Death Valley. I mean, that's a hard game to play at LSU. But Texas A&M comes in. They're playing for something bigger, playing for a big bowl. I mean, you're talking about Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl type stuff, or even some bigger bowl for Texas A&M. So go Aggies.
So they're not going to win it for Ed O. Jason Cox,
Ed O's paid. He's good.
Okay.
He don't need to win no more games.
Let's see. Who of the Swaggart family have I not mentioned yet there in Baton Rouge? Jason Cox.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know the Swaggarts too well. Again, does LSU want to be there? It's at home. Should be exciting environment. If the LSU people are still in it, I don't even know. Does Jimbo, is he really interested in LSU? There's a lot of talent. A lot of people consider that LSU job to be a top 5 in the country because of the amount of talent in Louisiana. You got Texas right there. You got the Panhandle of Florida right there. Texas A&M wins this game, but it won't surprise me at all to see Jimbo jump to LSU.
All right, let's do this. We're going to have to do these pretty fast here. Clemson and South Carolina, 7:30 game. Let's start with Josh Rogers.
Clemson.
Jason.
Clemson.
Shelton.
Clemson.
And then we have Kentucky and Louisville, and the battle of the Bluegrass State will begin with Jason Cox.
Louisville.
Kentucky.
Louisville.
All right. And then we have this. Tennessee will host Vanderbilt, 3:45 kickoff here later, right here, Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3 The Buzz. Let's begin with Jason Cox.
28-3 at the end of the first quarter, much like we saw against South Carolina and Missouri. The offense gets rolling. The young guys get in soon after halftime. This isn't a game.
And I'm going to go ahead and ask you, in one word, a bowl pick. If Tennessee wins, there's 7 wins. Where do you think they go as we tape this?
Tax Slayer.
So the old Gator Bowl, basically. Yeah. Josh Rogers, same questions. Who wins and a bowl pick?
Sure. So Vandy's been outscored this year 385 to 168. That's 24 total touchdowns. 24. There's 17 quarterbacks with more passing touchdowns this year than Vandy's entire team. I read an article this week about CBS, from CBS, about how Clark Lea was on a mission to rebuild Vandy football. But that mission in Nashville is going to take longer than the Afghanistan mission that the United States had, and that was 25 years.
Oh, boy.
So if I was Clark Lea, I'd be pulling out of Nashville a whole lot faster than Biden pulled out of Afghanistan. I'm going to take Tennessee big tonight in Knoxville, huge tonight over Vandy. Clark Lea is going to be going back to Notre Dame to coach wide receivers or linebackers or something.
What bowl game does UT go?
Music City.
Music City. All right.
Against Minnesota.
Shelton, he's really
row the boat.
You and I had privately said he had really done well, but now it's just downhill today. This is awful.
Off the wagon.
All right, back to you.
56-21. Tennessee wins today. They play in the Belk Bowl in Charlotte.
Really? Wow.
I think that could be the landing spot for them.
Go see my in-laws.
Yeah, probably not. And so, but I would like to end the show with this. I've retired from the show 2 years straight, and I would like to retire again from this show.
You may not.
We'll see you at the end of the year for the
third
football
year.
game.
This is my final show. You guys have done a great job with this, and I look forward to watching you guys in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again. We'll see you on the
Not
show.
accepted.
All right, it is. And by the way, congratulations, Shelton negotiated the James Franklin deal at Penn State, and Jeff Lovingood negotiated the deal for Hugh Freeze at Liberty with his friends, the Falwells. All right, for all of us at Mix 104.1 and Dog 101.3, let's go to the Fall Network.